I didn't feel the need to call a timeout, and knowing that, trust AR with the ball, trust LeBron as a decision maker. And, they went to fire, and, I think it's January 5th, 2007, a streak of whatever it is, 1,297 games. LeBron is acutely aware of how many points he has, at that point. And like he's done so many times in his career,
there's been serious tension brewing inside the Los Angeles Lakers organization lately, and the man some people still call the chosen one might be standing right in the middle of it all, whether he admits it publicly or not. LeBron James has spoken openly about ignoring the outside noise before, but this time his actions inside the arena spoke way louder than any quote or statement ever could. Things crossed a new line when head coach Redick reportedly tried to rein things in during a game, and LeBron responded in a way that instantly had people questioning respect, leadership, and control inside that locker room. This wasn't some small misunderstanding or missed cue either. This moment played out live on camera in front of fans, teammates, and the entire league watching closely. It all traces back to December 1st, 2025, a night that started with nothing but confidence and momentum for the Lakers. The Lakers were hosting the Phoenix Suns at Arena while riding a 7-game winning streak and looking like a team finally hitting its stride. The energy in the building was extremely high, fans were buzzing with excitement, and there was real belief that this group could make serious noise deep into the postseason. But by the time the third quarter rolled around, that optimism vanished incredibly fast. The Lakers found themselves down 94-73, completely flipped from the script they'd been writing over the past few weeks. Phoenix took control early in the game and never let go, outworking and outpacing Los Angeles in every single phase of the game. The Suns dominated the second quarter 35-22, then kept the pressure on with a 30-26 edge in the third quarter. Their ball movement was sharp, constant, and absolutely ruthless. Phoenix finished the night with 27 assists on 39 made field goals, slicing through the Lakers' defense like it wasn't even set properly. On their own home floor, the Lakers looked disconnected, flat, and completely out of sync with each other. Then came the moment that everyone keeps replaying over and over again. With just under a minute left in the third quarter, JJ Redick called out for a play from the sideline. He repeatedly shouted the play name as Luka Doncic brought the ball up the floor. Redick clearly needed LeBron to initiate the set and take control of the possession, but LeBron didn't respond at all. Instead, he was seen laughing and chatting with players on the Suns bench, including former teammate Jordan Goodwin. While the coach was calling instructions and trying to organize the offense, LeBron stayed locked in that conversation, completely ignoring what was happening behind him on his own team's bench. Redick had no choice but to call a timeout to stop the play. Cameras immediately zoomed in as the coach shook his head in complete disbelief. His frustration was written all over his face for everyone to see. Even after the whistle blew and the timeout was called, LeBron kept talking, exchanging a few more words with Phoenix players before slowly making his way back to the Lakers huddle. The message was symbolic and intentional. Whether it reflected genuine warmth or calculated damage control, it sent a clear signal of respect. LeBron addressed the ESPN story the next night after the Lakers' 104-112 loss to the Clippers on January 22, 2026. His response was calm, rehearsed, and almost dismissive. This was not his first media storm, and it showed clearly. "I don't care how somebody feels about me," LeBron said to reporters. "If you know me personally, then you know what I'm about. These guys know what I'm about, and that's all that matters." The message was unmistakable to everyone listening. Outside narratives didn't matter, anonymous sourcing didn't matter, speculation didn't matter. He was not letting headlines dictate his emotional state or his focus moving forward. When asked directly if this was still where he wanted to be given all the noise surrounding the team, LeBron answered simply, "I'm good, I'm good, I'm good." The repetition felt intentional. Whether it reflected genuine peace or a decision to project stability, it made one thing clear: he wasn't offering the media anything more to dissect. LeBron also confirmed that he had not spoken directly with Jeanie Buss since the report went public. He described their working relationship as good overall, but added a subtle note of realism. "There's always two sides of the coin," he said. That line carried weight. It acknowledged complexity without assigning blame to anyone. Relationships at this level aren't simple, and they're rarely clean. While LeBron stayed measured in his response, Rich Paul took a far more dismissive approach to the controversy. On his podcast with Max Kellerman, Paul brushed the entire controversy aside without hesitation. "There's an article written every day," he said. "Who cares? You don't know what's true and what's not." The response captured Paul's long-standing philosophy perfectly. Not every report deserves oxygen. Not every accusation deserves a response. Sometimes the strongest position is refusing to engage at all. To him, the noise was irrelevant. The business would keep moving forward, the careers would continue, and the headlines would cycle on to the next controversy. As expected, the media reaction intensified dramatically. Analysts dissected every quote, every post, and every pause. Debates erupted across television panels, podcasts, and social feeds, each side framing the situation through its own lens. Stephen A. Smith stepped into the spotlight on First Take, delivering one of the loudest responses of them all. He defended LeBron fiercely, but he didn't let him off the hook entirely. Smith made one thing very clear. The Lakers were, in his words, pretty much irrelevant before LeBron arrived. From 2014 to 2019, the franchise endured 7 of its worst seasons ever, missing the playoffs year after year and becoming a punchline across the league. Smith credited LeBron directly for restoring credibility, winning the 2020 championship, and still producing at an elite level at age 41. JJ Redick also entered the conversation publicly, defending his star player after months of speculation about their relationship. This was his moment to shut down narratives that had spiraled out of control. Redick called the criticism unfortunate, emphasizing LeBron's professionalism, preparation, and commitment to the team. His frustration was directed not at LeBron, but at what he saw as lazy takes feeding off negativity. He explained it plainly. Praise doesn't generate clicks, appreciation doesn't drive engagement, controversy does, conflict does. That's the media ecosystem everyone operates in now. The situation remains fluid as the season continues. LeBron turns 42 before the 2026-27 season begins. His body has held up remarkably well, but the mileage is historic. He's logged more regular season and playoff minutes than anyone in league history. His production remains strong at 22.4 points, 6 rebounds, and 6.7 assists per game this season. Behind the scenes, reports indicate that LeBron, Rich Paul, and Jeanie Buss plan to meet privately to reset their working relationship after weeks of public tension. Whether that meeting leads to real understanding or simply manages optics remains unclear. One thing must be stated clearly. No one ever tried to waive LeBron James. That idea is pure fiction. What did happen was far more complex, a public airing of tensions that had quietly built for years.
Then LeBron changed the tone himself in a significant way. When asked about the trade deadline and whether the team needed moves, he didn't hesitate at all. He said, "Yeah, I do," before stopping short of naming specific names out of respect for his teammates. But the message hit loud anyway throughout the league. This roster, as currently built, wasn't enough to compete for a championship. If the Lakers wanted to seriously compete for a title, changes had to happen soon. LeBron wasn't interested in burning another season, hoping things magically fix themselves. That December sideline moment suddenly looked different in hindsight, less like a one-off lapse and more like a symptom of something much bigger brewing inside the organization. The balance between player power, coaching authority, and ownership priorities was starting to crack under pressure. And then everything blew open from a completely different direction that nobody expected. On January 21st, 2026, the real shockwave hit the Lakers organization hard. ESPN published a massive investigative report by Baxter Holmes, and it landed like a thunderclap across the entire basketball world. The article exposed years of bitter infighting within the Buss family, internal battles that quietly poisoned relationships and eventually led to the sale of the franchise. But buried inside that story was something even more explosive to the public. Detailed revelations about long-simmering tension between Lakers Governor Jeanie Buss and LeBron James himself. The image of harmony the organization had carefully presented for years suddenly looked fragile and manufactured. According to multiple team sources cited throughout the report, Buss had privately complained about what she viewed as LeBron's outsized influence and the level of control exerted by him and his agency, Clutch Sports, at key moments. Those frustrations weren't new at all. The article suggested they had been building quietly for years, slowly corroding trust between ownership and the face of the franchise. One issue reportedly bothered Buss more than most others, the idea that LeBron was framed publicly as the savior of a failing Lakers organization after his arrival in 2018. From her perspective, that narrative was insulting to the franchise. The Lakers were not some lost franchise waiting to be rescued by anyone. This was an organization built on championships with Kareem and Magic, dominance with Shaq, and an era defined by Kobe Bryant. In her view, the Lakers brand was the draw, not the other way around. The suggestion that LeBron had come in to rescue something broken didn't sit right with her at all. The report also revisited a decision that still casts a long shadow over the organization, the 2021 Russell Westbrook trade. According to the article, Buss was deeply frustrated by how that move unfolded from start to finish. LeBron had pushed hard for the deal, but when it collapsed, leading to a brutal 33-49 season and a missed postseason, she felt accountability never fully followed. That year wasn't just disappointing for fans, it burned one of the most valuable seasons of the team's competitive window. And internally, resentment grew over who owned that failure. By the time all of this came to light publicly, the picture was impossible to ignore. The sideline moment, the locker room tension, the trade comments, and the ownership frustration were all connected. This wasn't about one timeout or one bad night. It was about power, control, legacy, and a franchise struggling to balance all three at once. Hours after the report went live online, the pressure was already mounting on everyone involved. Jeannie Buss moved quickly to limit the fallout and damage. She released a statement to The Athletic, pushing back strongly against how her relationship with LeBron had been portrayed. Her words were precise and defensive without sounding hostile. "It's really not right, given all the great things LeBron has done for the Lakers, that he has to be pulled into my family drama," she said. "To say that it wasn't appreciated is just not true and completely unfair to him." The statement was carefully constructed. It praised LeBron without directly disputing the deeper reporting. It acknowledged his value while steering the conversation away from conflict and toward gratitude. Shortly after, Buss updated her Instagram profile with a photo of herself embracing LeBron following the 2020 championship.
They pointed out the score was already completely out of reach by that point. The game was effectively decided, and LeBron was a 41-year-old veteran deep into his 23rd season. Why grind through the final minute of a lost game? Why risk exhaustion or injury when the result was already written and the outcome was decided? From that angle and perspective, LeBron wasn't being dismissive of his coach. He was being realistic, acknowledging the moment, maintaining relationships with former teammates, and conserving energy for battles that actually mattered down the line. Media outlets jumped in quickly to cover the story. Some highlighted Redick's visible frustration on the sideline, while others framed the situation as a small hiccup rather than a real problem brewing. A few analysts suggested the clip revealed just how difficult it is for a first-year head coach to manage a superstar with that level of experience and influence in the league. But the conversation didn't stop there at all. Podcasts, television panels, radio shows, and endless comment threads kept circling back to one central question. Was this really just one isolated moment, or was it part of something much bigger brewing under the surface? Because context matters here, and the context is important to understand. The Lakers had opened the season hot at 15-4, looking every bit like legitimate contenders. The blockbuster February 2025 trade that brought Luka into the fold reshaped the roster and sparked real championship expectations across the fanbase. Then came the slide, an ugly 11-13 stretch that raised serious concerns about chemistry, identity, and direction. Redick later noted publicly that the offense became too random after LeBron returned from a sciatica-related absence that delayed his season debut. The numbers backed up the concern he had. Defensive efficiency dropped sharply, with the team allowing 121.9 points per 100 possessions when LeBron was on the floor. That was the worst mark among the Lakers' core rotation players. Something clearly wasn't clicking on the defensive end of the floor. After a Christmas Day loss to Houston that further hurt their Western Conference standing, Redick didn't hold back publicly at all. He criticized the team's effort and promised uncomfortable film sessions where mistakes would be confronted head-on. Sources described the following team meeting as tense and extremely direct. Redick laid out what he called uncomfortable truths about accountability, effort, and responsibility. No one was getting a free pass, and no one was allowed to hide from criticism. Then came another moment that didn't go unnoticed by the media. LeBron skipped media availability the next day, a rare move for someone known for addressing reporters whether they win or lose. It added yet another layer to a situation that already had everyone watching closely. That silence told its own story to everyone paying attention. Whatever went down in that closed-door meeting clearly landed heavy because the lack of public comment said more than any quote ever could have said. Not long after that meeting, reports started leaking about a tense locker room confrontation between JJ Redick and LeBron James, a moment insiders said was far from calm. No one confirmed the exact words that were said, no one described how loud it got, and no one went on record about how intense it became. But the message was crystal clear to everyone. Something happened, and it wasn't just another routine disagreement that teams brush off overnight. Publicly, both men tried to cool things down when asked about it. When asked directly by reporters, Redick and LeBron downplayed any idea of a rift, sticking to safe, controlled answers. But behind the scenes, the reports didn't stop coming. Anonymous sources kept describing friction between a first-year head coach trying to establish authority and the greatest scorer the league has ever seen. Despite all of that tension, Redick continued to defend LeBron aggressively when outside criticism picked up steam. He pushed hard for LeBron's All-Star selection, even with missed games due to injury and load management. That public support mattered, and it didn't go unnoticed inside league circles.
In January 2026, Redick went even further with his praise. He called LeBron awesome to coach and praised the way he handled the pressure and expectations that come with being a global superstar. The words sounded sincere, but they were also precise, careful, and clearly chosen with intention, because anyone watching closely could feel it. The tension never fully disappeared from the situation, it just shifted shape, sitting quietly beneath the surface, while both sides tried to keep things professional.
That pause and delay didn't go unnoticed by anyone watching the game. The optics of that moment were extremely rough, and there's no way around it. The Lakers went on to lose 125-101 in a blowout that snapped their winning streak and exposed serious cracks beneath the surface. Phoenix looked comfortable, confident, and in complete control from start to finish. Dillon Brooks led the Suns with a loud 33 points, hitting tough shots with zero hesitation. Colin Gillespie shocked everyone off the bench, dropping a career-high 28 points while shooting an insane 10 of 19 from the field and 8 of 14 from three-point range. Meanwhile, the Lakers were left searching for answers after a night that raised way more questions than it answered. The win pushed Phoenix to 13-9 on the season, a strong statement road victory that completely flipped the night on the Lakers. Luka Doncic did everything he possibly could to keep things respectable, pouring in 38 points and grabbing 11 rebounds in a performance that looked heroic on paper but never truly threatened the outcome. LeBron James contributed as well, extending his historic run to 1,098 straight games with double-digit scoring, a streak that still turns heads across the entire league. But the box score couldn't hide what everyone saw with their own eyes. The energy felt completely off, the engagement dipped significantly, and the Lakers never looked fully locked in from start to finish. After the game, JJ Redick chose his words very carefully, but he didn't sugarcoat the bigger issue facing the team. He avoided calling out the timeout moment directly, instead putting the loss on flat effort and mental fatigue from a brutal stretch of 3 games in 4 nights. His voice stayed calm during the press conference, but the frustration underneath was obvious to anyone listening closely. Then came the line that raised eyebrows everywhere across basketball media. Redick compared the team's performance to getting their talent drained by the Monstars from Space Jam, a sudden and unexplainable drop in competitiveness that made absolutely no sense given how well they'd been playing. It was his way of saying something important was missing from the team, and nobody had a clean answer for what it was. Redick hammered home one point that mattered most to him. If you don't play hard against a team like Phoenix, you get exposed incredibly fast. The Suns punished every lazy closeout, every missed rotation, and every soft rebound attempt. They didn't let the Lakers coast for even a second, and the scoreboard reflected it loud and clear. LeBron, for his part, pointed to turnovers, defensive breakdowns, and Phoenix catching fire as the main reasons for the loss. He admitted the team felt a step slow all night and struggled to find any offensive rhythm whatsoever. Still, neither he nor Redick touched on the timeout moment that everyone online was already replaying over and over. But social media didn't move on so easily from that clip. Footage of the timeout spread across platforms like a spark in dry grass, exploding within hours. The clip racked up millions of views on Twitter, with fans, analysts, and former players weighing in from every possible angle imaginable. Some fans were extremely harsh, calling the moment disrespectful and accusing LeBron of checking out when leadership was needed most. To them, it looked like another sign of complacency creeping into the team's culture at the worst possible time. Others rushed to his defense just as hard and just as passionately.